It's the final week of the season, and it's crunch time for fantasy players. If you're still playing, I got the names to add on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're getting that audio source, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review on it. On there, it really helps out the show. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast, look, off-season is here. You're going to want all the insider information and ways to win your league in 2026, all starting up right in the next week as we start prepping for New Year, doing reviews and all that stuff. So stick around for it. But I got a great episode for us. So our final must-add players episode of the 2025 season, which is wild. And if you're still unfortunately playing in fantasy baseball at this time and you didn't end your league last week, you should really change that for starters. But two, I do have you covered. There is names, there's guys performing, and guys that I think you're even going to hit on your deep leagues. So that I think actually need to be added in all platforms, and hence why these guys are on this show today. But specifically the deep leagues, I actually got guys for you, and I think that we're actually going to do things. So let me start it off with this. I got a few guys that are under 10% owned, that are under 5% owned. And the guy we're going to start off at the top here is 0% owned, and he should be added everywhere, and here's why. And that is Genesky Janaski Noel of the Cleveland Guardians, playing outfield and 0% owned. And he is right here, I think, is about to explode. He has one home run, batting .222 on the week so far, but here's why I think he's actually going to explode. So here's where we're at with him. So he is sitting at a lovely 10% walk rate, which is actually spectacular. I will say this, like, he is crushing it. The only thing he has going against him is how often he's striking out right now, and hence why we're seeing the poor batting average over the last week. But I think things are going to turn around for the better soon. He's barreling 20% of the time and creating hard contact 60% of the time. I think power is like imminent. I think he's ready to explode in those regards. And you look at his profile, what he did in the bigs in his small stint last year when he got 61 games. I apologize, 67 games. He hit 13 home runs in that time. And that is key. I apologize, not 13. Yeah, 13 home runs in that time. And I think that it's totally possible to do it again. He already has 5 on the season and, almost the same at bats. And I think seeing the underlying stats of the barreling plus the hard contact screams there is power imminent. His OPS is actually an 856. So even though he's striking out, he's getting on base and he's, collecting and doing what he needs to do. The slug is at 556 and the expected slug is actually at 911. So all these things are saying, hey, there's some serious positive regression coming. He's also not hitting ground balls at all right now. They're all pop flies, hitting that at 40% of the time, which tells you everything is lining up for more power in the coming week. Noel being 0% owned, I think needs to change straight up. Like, you look at it and you go, well, who is going to give me the best opportunity to win and who can explode and catch it right at the beginning is Noel. I'm not saying he's going to be an everyday play, especially right when you first had him, but the fact that he's already cranked a home run this week, and that was literally on September 8th. Well, last week, but I think it's coming. It's coming soon. I promise you. At Noel, I think he's about to explode. Everything points to that arrow up. Let's move on. Let's talk about Carter Jensen. He is 4% owned, and he is playing for the sorry, I don't have him queued up. Here we go. Playing for those Kansas City Royals. He's a catcher. I apologize. Sorry for the delay. Carter Jensen's 4% owned, playing for the Kansas City Royals, and he's a catcher. So here's the thing: he hasn't hit a home run yet, but he has 4 runs, 5 ribs, and he's batting .292. So if you're a long listener, you know that I like batting average off the waiver wire. So that's just right off the bat. Top of that, there's some other things that are telling me, hey, we need to add him, and let's get into that. So Jensen is walking about 7.7% of the time, right under league average, but still pretty good. He's striking out 15.4% of the time, which is well under the league average, and the league average is 22.5%. So you mix those two together, and there's some positive regression coming on top of the 20% barrel rate and the 50% hard contact rate. You mix those two together, the fact that he has a .292 batting average and making contact, and along with the OPS of an 804, it's all saying the contact, the power, and the barreling are all going to turn into more production, more bat integration, more counting stats for you. Carter Jensen, this is him being a catcher at the moment, also adds a little boost to it because you're going to get that production from your catcher's position. Let's continue. The slug is at a 458, and the X slug is actually at 705. I'm actually really excited for that. Still supports the power is imminent, and the fact that we saw a little bit already. Now you also say, okay, ground balls are 25%, and he's popping fly balls like crazy at 45%. These are great numbers, like straight up great numbers. Jensen is ready to pop, and I feel we need to ride that wave to the finish line. So I'm adding Carter Jensen, especially if my catcher really isn't doing anything this week. I think 100% you're ready to go. Let's move on. Let's talk about Blaine Crim of them Colorado Rockies playing first base. Now, Crim is 5% owned, and he's having a week. 6 runs, actually more than that now. 8 runs, 4 bombs, 8 ribs, batting .389. Stellar. And I think it's continuing. For starters, you're going to be playing San Francisco. Not really scared unless Logan Webb's out there for starters. On top of that, Crim, everything that he's doing right now is fully supported by my model here. 16.7% walk rate, awesome. Striking out only 16.7%. Literally, walk to strikeout is perfect. Barreling 25% and creating hard contact 62.5% over the last week. Those all are proving, hey, we're getting on base, we're making contact with the ball. And when I'm making contact on the ball, it's great contact and it's hard as hell. The average is .389, like I said, but the OPS is a 1347. Amazing. The slug is at 889 with the expected slug right on par to 857. Look, he is crushing it. Ground balls are still way below average because it's only at 31.2%. League average over the last week is 43%. So he's definitely doing a lot better. And creating fly balls 43.8% of the time. Stellar. All of this together culminates into a pitcher perfect explosion, which we're already seeing translating in the stat sheets over the last week. And I think it's only going to continue. Now, are we jumping in the middle of things? Possibly. Did we miss the wave? Possibly. But ultimately, I want a piece of this. I really do. I want to see if this continues. If you got guys underperforming or you just need a UT, Crim is awesome. Like for in the last week, he everything supports the performance. So why not add it and risk it to get the biscuit and see if you're going, especially if you got an off day coming up or anything of the sort. Like this is where it's key. You get these guys in, you stream them, and you manufacture your wins. Like this is what you do, and this is how you win championships. So Blaine Crim, must add in my opinion. Again, 5% owned. Coming up next, I got guys that are still. I got one more hitter that is still deeper league relevant, and then I got a guy that if he's out there, we just need to add, and that's all coming up right after this. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff and with can't miss offers. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. The app fits however I like to bet, player props, building the same game parlays, or even jumping in live action as it unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping your eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So you're ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet. I'll give you a little quick bet for you. Make that $5 bet count. Look, Judkins looking monstrous, finally, after dealing with all his personal stuff and getting back in the league. And I think he's about to pop for the over on the rushes and get a anytime touchdown. And if you really want to do the stack on the guy, because I truly do, I would do +2 receptions and over 15 receiving yards. And I think you're going to have a grand old same game parlay on the one player that I think honestly will crush it. So do that now. Same game parlay on Judkins, FanDuel. Download it now. And all right, if you want a little bit more than this 30-minute podcast, let me tell you about the Insider Track, where you're going to be able to get everything you need for the offseason. Look, you want sleepers, you want breakouts, you want busts, you want rankings, we got you. You want to know who to keep, who to trade, we got you. Dynasty never ends. The season might be over and you're prepping for the new season, but Dynasty is all year. Who trading, who we picking up, rookie drafts, all that stuff. You don't want to miss out on it. We can answer all those questions on there. Links in the description below. Let's get back into the show. We're talking about Mr. Miguel Vargas of the Chicago White Sox. Plays first, third in outfield, and is 13% owned. Vargas, I think we're catching him on the upswing, and I'm going to tell you why. Right now, through 19 at-bats over the last week, 1 run, 1 bomb, 4 ribs, batting .263. That's nice, right? It's a nice stat line. But let's dive a little deeper on Vargas. How about that? So Vargas is walking 9.5%, which is better than league average at 8.5. He's striking out way under the K percentage. 14.3, league average is 22.5. So just to quantify that for you, really killing it with the plate discipline. On top of that, he's barreling 25% of the time, meaning he's making really great contact, and he's creating hard contact along with it. Those two together, plus the plate discipline, equates to probably the best hitter I'm going to talk about on this whole episode, just for your information. This is the start of a wave, I have a feeling, and we're about to catch it. Already batting .263 on the week with an OPS of 807 since he's getting on base and he's making the best of it. Slugs at 477 with the expected slug at 839. And he's getting ground balls at 31.2% of the time, which is still really good. League average is 43%, just so you understand where the difference is and why I'm highlighting the stat. Top of that, the fly ball ratio is at 56.2. So the ball is just itching to get over that fence. All these things together say, hey, I think he's going to explode. He's done it in stints all throughout the season. We've seen Vargas get hot and be valuable for fantasy baseball. You know, there's weeks where I streamed him and he's won me weeks. So why wouldn't we go out there and try and support him and trying to add him and make him be the difference maker, especially if we're going to catch it right at the beginning. Him hitting a home run on the 19th. Been a little bit. I think it's time for him to crank it because everything's saying, hey, over the last 7 days, Vargas is ready to roll. And that's 7 days quantified, not just, oh, he hit this home run last week and on the 19th. No, it's been rolling for the whole 7 days, and I think we're about to see an explosion. So Miguel Vargas, 13% owned, Chicago White Sox, first, third, and outfield. You need to add him now. But all right, let's get in our last hitter. All right, so about Alec Burleson. Okay, Burleson is 47% owned. Plays first and outfield for the St. Louis Cardinals and has had a decent last week. 24 at-bats, 3 runs, a bomb, 4 ribs, batting .500 over the last week. Pretty solid. By pretty solid, really solid, right? Key part is this. Burleson is doing quite well. Walking 7.4%, a whole percent down under it. I'm still going to give him a pass on it because it's pretty solid. You mix that in with a K percentage of 14.8. Again, league average is 22.5, so he's really doing a great job at not striking out. He's barreling 20% of the time with creating hard contact at 50% of the time. Great numbers. Honestly, I love it. League average on barreling, by the way, is at 8%. That's league average, and he's overperforming like everybody else on this list by 12%. And then you mix it with the hard contact, where hard hit percentage is at 38% for the league average. He's at 50. So that means power is here. There's positive regression coming. We're already starting to see that with the home run already happening in the performance. He hit it on the 17th, so it's been a little bit, which tells me, hey, I'm about to buy in on the step in now. So let's get in early. Top of that, the OPS is sitting at a 1264. The slug is at 708. Expect the slug a little bit lower at 692, but not too far off. Look, I'm loving it. The ground ball percentage is right on par at league average. Fly ball percentage is above average at 40%. League average is 37. So everything is saying Burleson is about to explode as well. Maybe not on the levels that I think Vargas is, but all these guys pose to just show some serious positive regression, get you some counting stats, and ultimately I think that all these guys are worth adding in all formats because of it. Unless you're in a super shallow league, the first three names maybe aren't the most applicable. But Miguel Vargas is a must add, the best bat of them all that I spoke about today. So please add all these guys. And now, without further ado, let's get into some pitching. So about Colin Re of the Chicago Cubs, starting pitcher. And let's get in. Let's talk about Re and his matchup. So Re is playing, I believe, St. Louis Cardinals this weekend. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I love the matchup. I'm not really scared of the Cardinals, even with Burleson. On top of that, you look at the Cards as a whole and where they ranked amongst hitting teams as a whole, as a league, right? So St. Louis is the 14th ranked hitting team in the league right now. Their batting average on the week is over the last 2 weeks is 280. They are walking 9.5%, which is about league average, a little bit better, striking out about 19.4%. And that's pretty good numbers. But the league average with ground balls, they're below league average with fly balls. They only have about 5 home runs over the last 2 weeks, which really isn't that great. They're barely barreling. They're at 6.8%, well under league average. Hard contact is at 39.1. It's meh. They're expecting batting average is a little bit less at 272. And they're getting on base at a decent rip, but I'm not really scared. Even though they have an 803 OPS, there's things that I feel we can just do better at. And let's get into that, right? So they aren't exceeding expectations when it comes to all the stats. They're just hitting decently right now. They're an average hitting team. That's why they're in the middle of the pack at 14. Am I scared of this matchup? No, especially not the way Colin Re has been pitching of late. So here's how he's been over the last 2 weeks. 12 innings, 16 strikeouts, a 2.92 ERA with a .89 WHIP and a quality start. Phenomenal. And the underlying stats are screaming at us to add him. Over the last 2 weeks, 34% strikeout rate, 0% walk rate, which means he's walked nobody. So that is a 100% positive aspect of it, in which obviously screams command and repeatable we call it repeatable performances because everything is just looking so hot. You look at the Sierra's at 219. Everything's looking hot there. The FIP is actually at a .55. Bunkers. And then the expected FIP is at 204. Still better than what he's posting over the last 2 weeks at 292. So the only thing I would like to see a little better is how often he produces ground balls. That's at 35.5%. That can get him in some trouble if he was giving up fly balls and home runs. He hasn't given up either. 0%. Meanwhile, the league average is 12%. So really overperforming that, and I love it. Now, is it sustainable? Absolutely not, especially with him not giving up these as much ground balls. But the matchup doesn't scare me, even with that OPS of the team. Now you look at even just the LOB, which is left on base percentage, how often he's getting himself out of trouble. So even with his unluckiness of leaving guys on, not leaving guys on base, which is what it is, at 63.3%, whereas league average is 72. That means there's more positive regression with him getting himself out of trouble if he were to give up the hits. And that's the key part. We want a piece of that. So I think Colin Re going up a middle of the pack team with, yes, a decent OPS that can change to just one matchup is worth the start. I think the way he's been performing over the last 2 weeks through 12 and a half innings earns him our trust. So add him. He'll be pitching this weekend. Let's move on. So about Brandon Sprout or Sprout, however we want to say it, plays for those what do you call it? New York Mets, who are now no longer in the playoff run, it looks like. Oh boy. Hate to be a Met fan right now. Sorry, didn't mean to piss off the Met fans, but hey, is what it is. Actually, before I continue on Brown Sprout and give you my whole take on him, I got a little something for you coming up right after this. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Not just confidence, pure confidence. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugit. Go Long. That's exactly where Rugit Go Long comes in. This isn't just an ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines two doctor trusted medications in one dual action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day and night and even into the next day. The process is simple. Connect with the board certified doctor 100% online. And if prescribed, your treatment will ship direct discreetly right to your door. If prescribed, your treatment was right to your door, and it's wonderful, right? Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rugiet.com, Rugiet.com, and use the promo code Locked On MLB for 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet.com, and use the promo code Locked On MLB. Make sure you're to use the code so they know who sent you. Now let's get back into it. Just like I was talking about, Brandon Sprout has been me in his last start. Got pretty much like crushed by Washington. 9 ERA through 4 and 5 strikeouts with a 1.5 ERA. But against the Rangers, handled himself really well. And it looks like he's probably going to get Miami. Is what I'm expecting here based off of what RotoWire is saying. One of my favorite tools for saying, hey, this is the probable pitcher for the weekend, etc. So just keep an eye out. I believe he's going to be the pitcher. I'm going to pull up that now. Hold on. Pitcher this weekend. Probable pitchers. Here we go. So here we go. So Sprout should be pitching on Friday against the Miami Marlins. At least that's what it's looking like. For some reason they don't have it dashed on there, but hey, it's because my league's probably over. But Sprout is definitely getting the start. It looks like going to be happening at 7 p.m. against the Miami Marlins. And even with the poor performance against Washington, the Marlins are a team that like I'm not too scared of either, even though they're hitting quite well, in my opinion. They're the third best team in baseball. And they did give the Phillies a little bit of run for their money, but I also am not really too scared. Yes, the OPS is at 18 and things like that, and they're hitting at 294 over the last 2 weeks, sure. They're only walking about 6.6% of the time, and they're striking out 17.4. So it's good numbers. Don't get me wrong, but there's some negative regression because I feel like they're overperforming, not just based off of, you know, some super exceeding numbers, but also too like as a talent standpoint too. You look at who's on that team, and I'm just not too sold on what they're doing. And then on top of that, I mean, they're barreling at league average at 8.2. The hard contact is, league average. So, I mean, I'm not really like sold on what they're doing right now in terms of like, other than they're getting on base and they're making the best out of it, essentially. But I'm not super scared of it. And Sprout is probably more of like a desperate play than anything. You kind of see what your ERA looks like, and then you kind of say, okay, cool. If I can risk it, I'll take it. If it's tied up and I need to kind of make the difference, move the needle a little bit and have some upside, Spro can do it. Look, he's striking out guys 20% of the time, and he's only walking guys 5% of the time. Now, for hitting, you want to see the exact opposite. You don't want to see high strikeout numbers, and you want to see high walk numbers. So he's not really giving up the walks, and he's striking guys out at a pretty good rip, 2.5% under league average, which is still pretty solid. The walk to strikeout ratio is 15%, so that's actually really solid. We see here is sitting at 346, which is actually a really good number. League average is actually at 410. He's doing his thing there. The FIP is at 215, which means, he's getting unlucky in a lot of aspects. The XFIP is at 291, still supports it. So some positive regression there. Producing ground balls at 53.3%. That is actually awesome. I always hear me complain if you're been here for a while. I'd love to see pitchers produce more ground balls. It means less opportunity to get in trouble essentially. So I think Sproat is doing great things being a contact pitcher in those regards, and getting the easy out at least, especially producing ground balls. Now on top of that, and home runs to fly balls, not giving up any. That's the key part. 0% over home run to fly ball ratio, which is great over the last 2 weeks. Only allowing guys to barrel 3.3%, which is awesome. So, when he's giving up contact, it's not great contact essentially, and that supports what we see in the FIP, what we see in the XFIP, the Sierra, all that stuff. He's doing all the good things and producing ground balls at a high level. Everything's kind of looking good there. It seems to be, the left on base percentage is kind of the most telling thing. He's getting unlucky in those regards. He's well under league average of 66.7%. League average is 72%. And all that is can he get himself out of trouble when there's players on base? And right now it's looking like the answer is no, he's not getting himself out of trouble. So there's some positive regression coming in that, which means getting equal to better ERA output and better counting stats, because that means he's going to be able to go later into the game. So ultimately, Sprout, however we say his name, of the New York Mets being 23% owned, honestly has a decent matchup here, and I kind of want to capitalize on it. So let's do it. Let's add him. Let's move on. So about Noah Cameron. So he's 23% owned, starting pitcher for the Kansas City Royals, and he's 54% owned. Wow, I have the wrong number out there. Let me change that on the screen for everybody. And still within the numbers I want to talk about here, but he's one of those guys that I'm kind of excited for the next start going up against the Athletics. Now the Athletics as a whole, I mean, yes, you got a few players on there, but the Athletics as a team are the 20th best hitting team in the league. They're striking out 26.9% of the time, which is horrendous. They're only walking 6% of the time. They have an OPS right now of 543, and their expected batting average is 218, and their batting average is 201. It all poses in primes for a team that should be dominated when the pitcher goes out there. So Noah Cameron, I think he's primed just to go up against a really cupcake matchup in these regards. Then you look at this, all right? And what has Cameron been doing? Well, Cameron has been striking guys out at 25% of the time. He's out there. He's going distance, 25% strikeout rate. That's stellar. Not really walking guys either, 6.2%. That's really good. Honestly, league average is 8.5, and he's crushing it in those regards. So he's really positive in the walk to strikeout ratio, 18.8%. Love it. Sierra's above average, 357. Love it. The FIP doesn't love him. It's saying, if anything, he's getting he's getting lucky at a 490 FIP. But the XFIP is a little bit different. That's saying 328. So I guess you meet right in the middle at like a 480, 490, kind of like average between, I guess I'd say. And I'm not really mad at that because he's still in the threes, but I think that there's going to be some positive outside. But he's one of the more, uncertain kind of guys that could give you a blow up game. But ultimately, the matchup is so nice that I think even with the way he's performing right now, the matchup outweighs what he's been doing on the mound recently. And there's some other supporting stuff that I like about this. So he is giving up ground balls 45.5% of the time, which is awesome, right? Above the league average. I like it. Producing the ground balls. Contact is bad. He's getting the easy out. That I'm totally okay with. Then you look at home run to fly ball ratio, only 0.27. Fantastic. Then you look at barreling. That's super high. So when they are making contact, they are doing good contact. That's 12.1%. So that's the danger of having it. If they make contact, possibility. And he's overperforming like crazy with the left on base percentage at 100%. So that isn't sustainable. So all this kind of says there could be an explosion in the ERA. Now, again, cupcake matchup. I think that he'll be fine in this. I think his luck doesn't run out in this matchup. Kurtz could be the one that maybe, bangs him up a little bit. Let's put it this way. You don't have to decide till Saturday. See where your ERA is and see if you actually need him as a starter, and then decide from there. I think I'd start him, quite honestly, because of how the Athletics are just hitting as a whole. So I think Cameron is somebody that I want to add and I want to start. But you're in the championship, you got to make tough decisions. I feel like you just need to see where it goes and then you play it safe. There's nothing wrong. You don't have to roll out every single player. And if you really want to get slimy, sometimes I do this too. It's like keep away. Add them and drop them so that you can't add them either. That's another way to use your ads on the waivers is just playing keep away as well. Like I do this sometimes. Like, hey, I'm not going to start them. I'm in a really good spot, but I also don't want that player starting against me. I'll burn an ad on that. I'll add him and then I'll drop him and I won't start him. You do that, they sit on waivers, they can't be added. It's fantastic. It's a little sleazy, but who cares? As long as you're getting the win at the end of the week, right? It's not like I'm banging on trash cans. All I'm doing is doing a legal move. So, worst case, you do that with this guy. Honorable mentions that couldn't fit in the show: Slade Sicilione and Shane Smith. Both decent matchups and both are performing, but a little bit more on the aspect of, hey, they're doing good, but possible risk. They're both, I believe, starting Friday, so you have a little time to make that decision. Look into them. Any questions? Pop us in on subtext or it is in the comments. But guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show because we truly love bringing it to you each and every day. And thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, check out our all new MLB Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get your local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB YouTube or wherever you're listening to your podcast. Peace out, guys.